Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to At the Inn of Fading Glory. I am Matt, joined as always by Mike and Sebastian. Gentlemen, how's it going this morning?
Oh, I'm drinking coffee. Good. How are you? How is everybody?
Wonderful. I got this frog in my throat, so I'm going to have to mute myself from time to time. I do apologize.
Okay, can we change Mike's name to Miss Piggy now?
Yes.
No. I think
we
so.
can.
I think we
can
need
definitely
to
do that.
Fine. You call me whatever you like.
We are. I think Mike is good. I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I have a bit of sage-like advice for the two of you. And for anyone else
we're getting
listening,
some wisdom from our local Jedi here.
Okay, Sensei.
So, this is a tip for anyone that is going into a cell phone dealership and upgrading your phone. Make sure before you go in there to transfer all of your photos and videos to your computer, or you're going to be like me and have to wait an hour and a half for the smart switch syncing from the old phone to the new phone, because my photos alone took about 45 minutes to transfer from the old phone to the new phone. And I'm sitting there looking at the sales rep saying, I'm so sorry. She's like, we're in it now, so we might as well just wait. I'm just like, I'm so sorry.
Oh, man.
I'm like, in hindsight, I should have just transferred it all to the computer, and then it would have been like a 3/4 less of the time to transfer the phone stuff, like the apps and all the things.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that would require being organized, and I don't think,
Well, it was so that's also part of the reason why I couldn't make the wing night on Thursday, because I had to get a new phone on Thursday night as well, man. So I was there. I got there at 6:30, and I didn't. I was late for our recording, Mike. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's
fine. Life happens, man. But so a PSA for everybody: you get a new phone, transfer all your junk before you go do it.
Just clean up your phone.
You're on a Samsung, right?
Yes, Samsung.
So that
Galaxy.
sucks. I have a similar story. So almost 2 years ago, I got a new iPhone. I stick with the iPhone because the same reason I'm sticking with the PlayStation. I'm used to the controller, and I'm not fucking learning anything new at my age. So what I discovered about a couple months into it, as we started getting into fall, was there was a defect somewhere internally in the phone, and if it dropped into about the single digits worth of temperature, the touchscreen would start going off by itself, or I would start touching things and it would type absolute gibberish and flicker between apps. And it took me a while to figure out that, this is a temperature related thing. So I go through the whole rigmarole with Apple, yada, 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 take it to our dealer, yada, yada, yada. We'll figure it out. I figured out how to recreate it myself. I went in there, same thing. It's like, okay, so you're going to want to sync your data over here. And I'm like, oh shit. I ended up paying $1.99 to upgrade my iCloud storage and did it that way. And it only took 10 minutes. So think about using the cloud next time, my friend.
The cloud is your friend, man.
No, the issue is, like, I had to transfer some files over. So, I put it in our Discord. Disregard any of those PDFs, and Mike, that's in our music
I know,
Discord.
my God, there's like 400
because I'm in the store under pressure. I'm like, I need all these.
Oh, that's what all the list of Asian porn sites was. Okay, thank you. Okay. And by the way, thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Important stuff.
But it's none of that, by the way, just to be clear. But yeah.
No, but
I have a brand new fast phone, and it's awesome. It's
fantastic.
What did you end up getting?
The Samsung, the 24 Plus.
Oh, cool.
Galaxy 24 Plus. Although I have a bone to pick with the Galaxy Watch in particular. They have a USB-C connector. Mm-hmm. But they don't have anything that connects into like a charger, so you have to buy like a set.
You got to buy the separate block, right?
No, you can buy an adapter on Amazon. They're like, I mean, the cheapest one I found was like $9, but you get 4 of them, and I don't need 4 adapters. But it's like,
absolutely,
you'll lose them.
Sure, that's fair.
You need 4.
So,
one by the bed, one in the kitchen, one in your studio, one in your office.
So it's the plug. So the end of the plug for the charger of the Galaxy is the one that you would plug into your phone to charge it, and so the other one is like the old USB that goes into like every known USB port to man. And so you can technically charge the watch on your phone, which is
Cool.
which is fine. That's number one. And number two is my wireless charger doesn't work because of the case and the plate that I put on it, because I have like a magnet plate that I put on so I can put it on my car, you know, for GPS and stuff.
Yeah.
And so the plate's in the exact spot where the charger for the wireless charger is, so it doesn't wireless charge unless I take it out of the case. But I mean, that's just a wait, or like a first world problem basically.
Oh,
God.
So yeah, so first world.
So it's not a big deal at all. But yeah, a Galaxy Watch is fantastic. So yeah, so just a little bit of advice for you guys: make sure you clear out your phone. I mean, they clear it out where you buy it anyways, but just transfer everything. Back it up. Just put it on your computer and then come back to it and then re-download it. It just makes it a lot easier. There's also two arguments in there while I was waiting. So this lady came in and was so irate, and I'm just sitting there in the corner like, oh, this is awkward. She's almost screaming at the other guy because she's like, I need to get reimbursed for this phone. I'm trying to send it back and get the credit for it, but I can't. They told me to come to the store. And the guy's like, well, you can't trade it in at the store if you did the where they send you the phone to your house, whatever that's called, like when you do the upgrade through the
online
website.
Yes,
they're supposed to send you a box, and you put the old phone in the box and send it back. They're like, we can't take it back. So they're sitting there in an argument. I was like, oh God, this is hilarious. I'm sitting there just in the corner, minding my own business, listening to irate people for an hour and a half. It's fun.
Fantastic. Yeah, I with my experience, they couldn't recreate it in the store, and the guy's like, yeah, I can't make it do the thing you're saying it does. I'm like,
doesn't that frustrate you? Because you're like,
well,
please believe me, it does.
I knew. From having a technician's background, I know how to troubleshoot, so I knew how to do it. And I just looked him square in the face and I said, did you put it in the fridge? He goes, what? It's a temperature issue. Go put it in the fridge.
Oh.
Yeah.
He looks at me and you could just see the light bulb go off. He's like, I didn't even think of that. Go put it in the fridge. And he's like, oh yeah, this behaves exactly like you said. I'm like, I know. And then Apple couldn't recreate it when they sent that off. And I says, do you remember what I told you? He goes, yeah. Did you tell them? No.
You might.
I should probably tell them. Yeah. Yeah, you should. And so eventually, after 3 weeks of loaner phones and several trips to the technicians, the Apple just went, yeah, no, this is fucked. I'm like, yeah, just put it in the fridge for 10 minutes.
Yeah, right.
And that's and you know, the couple times I brought it home, he says it's fixed, it should be good. I stuck it in the fridge, and 10 minutes later, I phoned him back. I'm like, yeah, no, it ain't good. Yeah, I will be back in an hour. I'm going to finish unloading my groceries and I will be back. And we're going to send an email together, my friend.
Yeah.
So yeah, back up your phones, because it don't always work. I know that my phone's been dying for a backup, and I'm like, yeah, you're not worth the $1.99 yet. Most of my photos end up on Facebook and Instagram. So yeah.
Well, if you have Apple Music, or like I have the family plan through Apple, like I pay $1 million a month for Apple Music and Apple TV for everybody in my house, and it comes with the cloud, so it just automatically goes.
So why Apple over Samsung? And I guess just to be clear, I don't think it actually matters if you go Apple or Samsung. In my perspective, I just go with what I'm used to and what I have in terms of my tablet and other stuff, right?
Sure, so, I've had both. I prefer the iOS operating system for me, for the sleight of brain cell person. It seems a little more simple, a little more big button, touch button, and it does what I want it to do. Plus, I've got like my computer's a Mac. I got iPad.
Yeah.
I'm like an Apple.
Sense, though.
I'm an Apple guy. Like everything I got is Apple. So.
I was on board with you right up until you said it's for dumb guy. To me, it's like just like I said earlier. It's like I'm used to this controller. I'm not changing to an Xbox now. I'm not into it. And the 2 years I had a Samsung, I hated that fucking thing.
Yeah.
So bad. Boys, I just want to introduce you to my buddy Nolar Bear here.
Hi.
Listening to us from up in the Inuvik Tuktoyaktuk region.
Oh, welcome.
So thanks for joining, Nolar Bear.
Can you say that again, Matt? What region?
Inuvik Tuktoyaktuk.
Where is that again? Can you say that one more time?
Hey,
In
hey,
a Yakatak.
hey, I wouldn't be. Yeah, you can. Anyways, I'm not going.
No, I'm
believe
just
he
saying
was
you
at the
can't pronounce
Metallica
it.
show.
Yeah, he was. Oh, he was the one that was at the '94 Molson thing.
I know our buddy Dez was. I'm not sure
that
if
was
Nolan
Dez.
Bear
Oh,
was.
okay, that was
He's
Dez.
listening, so I'm sure he's about to tell
Yeah.
us if he was at the Met
Yeah.
show. So yeah, he is up there along the coast of the Arctic.
Oh man, amazing.
And yeah, no, one of my cruise buddies.
Shorts
And
weather
it has
up there
been
right
a
now.
pleasure. He
Might be.
right before our last cruise, he got to get in the ring with Gangrel and Frankie Kazarian at a wrestling show.
Oh,
So
cool.
Okay,
I
to be
believe-
fair, they had one of the best entrances ever of all time, the Brood entrance. I freaking loved the music and the entrance. So simple,
Gangrel,
but yet just
Gangrel still uses the music, but he's got an aggressive hip hop track over top of it, and it is fucking badass now. Anyways, speaking of wrestling,
Okay.
and you guys watch anything interesting lately?
I
I
got
watched Raw after WrestleMania.
I got sucked into watching WrestleMania.
yeah,
which,
you did.
As
Yeah,
you guys
did.
know, I'm not into it at all. But my son was like, "Hey, can we watch this, Dad?" And I'm like, "Of course, son. I'll do it
If
for
you're gonna
you."
watch anything, you're gonna watch WrestleMania 40, man. It's 40-year anniversary of WrestleMania.
Yeah. So WrestleMania was good for the most part. I left the room for all like the triple tag team matches because I thought those were just they're not my style.
Dude, that was
So I
actually
like,
pretty good though.
Nah, I went and made dinner. I did
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like, well, I'll come back when it's something else. And no, it was good. It was entertaining. The Rock was pretty funny. You know, when he told the ref when he was like, you keep counting, you're fired, and just
That's so good.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
The fix is in, and we're not ashamed of it.
Right. And
yeah,
I noticed when there's people that I'm interested in, it's way more electric for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like with that the Rock and Roman against Cody and Seth match, I was really into it. I thought it was pretty good. But most of it, the rest of it, if I didn't really know them or care, I'm like, nah, I just go.
Yeah, and that happens when when new wrestling companies come in. It's or you try to change the channel to something you're not used to watching as a wrestling fan. Sometimes it just doesn't click. Real quick, I am doing a cheap seat booking tomorrow. We're going to talk about the WrestleMania results. That will be at about 9 a.m. Pacific. I got a couple of guests that are going to be telling us all about their live and in person. My buddy Alex and my buddy Jamal.
Did they go to it? They went to it?
They were both there in person. Cool. Alex had a really awesome WrestleMania moment, but I will let him tell everybody on the show.
Don't steal that away from him.
Yeah, I'm not going to steal that moment away from him, but I'll let him tell everybody about that. So tune in to Cheap Seat Booking. It will stream through this Facebook page as well as the Cheap Seat Booking Facebook page, and you can get that on demand everywhere you get this.
9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Highlight. Give me your major highlight. What did you think was just killer from WrestleMania? Either one or two, boys. What really sucked you in?
So, okay, so the meta of this after watching a couple videos on the deep, and I only started watching wrestling again right before last year's WrestleMania, so I've kind of been watching it for a year. So I wasn't along for the long bloodline storyline of the last 3 years, but
basically since we started talking more frequently.
Yeah, pretty much. So I've noticed two things. Number one is that they're really back into these long storylines with big payoffs over months and years. And the poetry in motion of how all the storylines from the past eras and how they ended WrestleMania 40 with like John Cena and The Rock, The Undertaker and The Rock, the Shield coming in. It's such good storytelling, which I think has been missing from wrestling for such a long time. When Seth Rollins is like, I will be your Shield, and then in the ring, Roman is in that situation where it's like he has to choose between the two of them, so to speak.
Well, and that was a good call. People are like, oh, that's long-term storytelling. No, it was a good callback because. But however, do you know what people thought when the Shield music?
Yeah, it was Dean Ambrose coming in.
That it was Moxley doing. Yeah, we were getting Moxley coming in, so people were like, no, he's not. And it's like it wasn't. We got our hopes up.
But it made sense if you deep dive why he came as the Shield person, right?
So 100%. Yeah, it 100% did. But everybody's like, "Oh, sweet dear Jesus, please let this be a thing." And the other thing everybody was expecting was the other Texan to show up, not the Undertaker.
But the Undertaker got one of the biggest pops of the night when he showed up too, right? So
I came off the couch, woke up the wife, scared the cat. Yeah, Yep.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing too is that they're really doing this great thing of blending the show with real backstage moments and real things. So it's like the whole Rock storyline is how he wanted to screw Cody out of the title, and it was, I guess what I'm trying to say is that they're really playing with like the fan emotions of where the fans think that it should go, and then them swerving in and out of that narrative, so to speak. So yeah, I think wrestling is going in a good way right now. So arguably one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time, if depending on who you ask. It's definitely a top 5 in my mind. So some people, maybe it's just because it's so fresh for people that they're really high on it. But I don't think there is really a bad match at all. And there's a lot of like A+ matches over the 2 nights, like some really good matches, really invested. And I found myself getting a little emotional at some of the matches, which I haven't done in like 30 years of watching wrestling. So I'm just like, holy shit, like, does it have a hold on me now? So, when they're doing that, they're doing a good job. So,
one of us.
Well,
one
not quite,
of
but...
us. And then, Mike, anything really stand out to you as like a super wow? I can't believe I got invested like that.
I really enjoyed the Sami Zayn match.
That was so great.
Thank you.
Like he's one of the few that I really, if he's on, I'll watch. Yeah, I wouldn't say I did that, but
Dude,
it was pretty cool. And anytime Kevin Owens is fighting or doing anything, I'm in, because he's I don't know, he's just
Kevin.
Yeah,
Kevin Owens is such a good bright spot of wrestling.
He's that just so good at what he does. Like
he's so good, right?
And he's like this guy that shouldn't be able to move the way he moves because he's got that. He's
built like you found him in a biker bar.
Yes,
he's got a dad bod.
And the dude is incredibly agile, and he's fun to watch. And I'm just mad he lost, but whatever, it is what it is. I understand why he had to lose to keep the title with the guy that's got it, because it makes sense.
Yeah, that ended. I'm gonna go with Gemma. If you're gonna watch one match on this card just to see what it's all about, watch Sami Zayn versus Gunther. Gunther is an absolute beast. He ended his title reign at 666 days. Like, come on, crazy. Boys.
That's a significant number.
And he's just a phenomenal story. He was a huge thing on the Indies as Walter, through NXT as Walter. Very plain name, but just a legit big badass.
Didn't he lose close to over 100 pounds after going to
him and Damian Priest both lost a lot of weight and got shredded since joining NXT. And then Nola Bear bringing up a good point. So one of our fellow cruisers, Matthew Matchler, also the promoter of Boca Raton Championship Wrestling that puts on the show before the cruise every year, got really good seats. He got more camera time than most talent. Because we saw him in the corner of NXT, we saw him in the corner of SmackDown, and he was 12th row on the aisle for the entrances for both nights, and he is right there. He got, you can see him yelling for selfies with The Rock in the corner on Monday Night Raw. So it was really cool seeing one of our cruisers. Yeah, it was funny because, like, honestly, every other camera shot there he is. Like, fantastic. He's he definitely shelled out for the seats, and it's worth it. And good going, Matt. That's and honestly, I didn't really get to know him until last cruise, and a legitimately good dude. So
how much are ticket prices for WrestleMania? Just curious. I have no idea.
I was looking into it, and I would have just gone and stayed with my buddies in Philly, but several $100s a seat.
For the shitty seats, probably.
For the shitty seats. I will ask that question tomorrow. So tune in when I talk to our guests that were live, feet on the ground for both nights and all the accoutrement around that. Because I don't know if you guys know, but that's a big deal. You have almost every wrestler on the planet and every promotion on the planet in town doing live shows. There was a wrestling show out in the street. There was a Ring of Honor show. I think New Japan was out there. Ring of Honor had Mark Briscoe won the Ring of Honor world title off of Eddie Kingston 11 years to the day that his brother first won it. His brother passing away about 14 months ago in a tragic car accident that
that's
almost
right.
got his kids. So great stories from this weekend. Can't wait to dive into it with my people that had boots on the ground tomorrow. So check that out. Okay, let's move along. Let's get into something different. What's on your mind, boys? What's going on?
Okay,
so
so
had something last week.
Yeah, I did have something last week, which I've kind of been deep diving a lot of in the last few weeks. And it's to do with the pyramids in Egypt. This is like conspiracy theory stuff, but it's not really conspiracy theory
I
stuff.
think I saw this.
Yeah, so the most common theory of what the pyramids are is like a tomb, a tomb for the pharaohs, but they have never once found anything related to a sarcophagus or any bodies whatsoever in any of the pyramids. So the theory, which I actually believe in, is that the pyramids may have not been built by the Egyptians. They may have been there for a lot longer than people actually realize. We're talking like 30 to 40,000 years ago. Oh. And there was like a past civilization that had knowledge to all sorts of different powers. So, it's the Giza power plant theory. And so they were literally used as batteries for cities. So I'm going to share a screen here in a second. And it actually makes a lot of sense. When hold on.
Let me get my tinfoil hat before we continue here.
So this is now going to History Channel after 11 p.m.
Have you guys ever heard of this theory?
No, not until you.
I did see something on this a couple weeks ago. It was on my mind. It's on my list of things to have brought up. So let's walk us through this, buddy.
Okay, so I guess you can't really see my cursor on here, can you?
Not really.
Okay, so you can see where it says the Queen's Chamber?
Yes.
Yep.
So that little middle part that's attached by two arms that are going to the top right and top left, that is like a mixing bowl, so to speak. So there's a chemical that comes in through the left, a chemical that comes in through the right. It mixes, and then it goes to the right into the Grand Galley, and that's where all the hydrogen reaction takes place. And the King's Chamber is like a resonator that fires the electricity up to the top of the pyramid, and where the electricity basically harbors and shoots out into like a web. And the reason why you see so many obelisks designed across the world is that those would be receivers for the electricity. So yeah, it's a fascinating thing. There's been so many books written about it. One by a guy named Charles Dunn, I believe, which is like kind of the forefather of this theory, but it doesn't make sense that they like the Egyptians had the capacity to build these pyramids, right? So you have to look at just the logistics of how they built it. And there's 2 million blocks in the pyramid, right? On an average of 5 tons per block. So how do you think that they would have actually been able to build that back in the day? I know there's a lot of
slave labor and rolling giant blocks across logs.
Yeah, but when they took samples of the type of stone that was used in the pyramid, it is from a quarry that's like hundreds and hundreds of miles away. So not only did they have to drag them there, it would have taken hundreds and hundreds of years to build each temple, basically, right? So the theory is that there's a whole bunch of lost technology from like 10, 20, 30,000 years ago. So so TikTok is full of this kind of stuff, and people are very, it's one of the wonders of the world. Like nobody knows what they're there. Plus the fact that back then when they were erected, so to speak, the Nile River would flow right underneath the pyramid, and so they would draw the energy out of the water as well too. So yeah, it's just a fascinating little thing. I don't know if you guys ever explored it or not, but
no.
So here's a fascinating thing. Nikola Tesla, which we all know as Mr. Electricity, basically, he absolutely 100% believed in this, and a lot of his designs were based on stuff related to the pyramids, like his coils that he's famous for.
Yep.
They found, I believe they found drawings of those inside one of the pyramids. back in the day. So, you know, it's not as far-fetched as people believe. And so, you know, Tesla, as I'm reading here, Tesla filed a patent in the US titled The Art of Transmitting Electrical Energy Through the Natural Medium, outlining designs for a series of generators around the world, which would tap into ionosphere for energy collections. He saw the planet Earth itself, with its two poles, as a giant electrical generator of limitless energy. His triangle-shaped design became known as a Tesla electromagnetic pyramid. So all of his design work was based on this theory.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a big rabbit hole to go down, especially like on TikTok and Instagram, because there's countless things about it, and some go very far in terms of like another alien race coming down and teaching us this kind of stuff. So whether you believe in that or not, that's, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, so yeah, it's just fascinating. I urge anyone that's interested in like history and, you know, other stuff, out of worldly stuff, to look into it. Plus, they found pyramids like this all across the world in the exact like shape and formation. So
Really?
I believe there's something more to the pyramids than just being a tomb. So,
you know, even to imagine if they could actually harness this, and we would stop using water for electricity, like, so to speak, right? Like,
well,
we
it's
would
free
have
energy,
to
right?
have hydroelectric dams. We'd have, everybody would have power. Like, it would eliminate, it would help out so much for all of our climate change baloney, and not baloney, but the climate change crisis that we're in. This is crazy. It's crazy, man. You're blowing my mind.
As Sarah's asking, there is anything explain the loss of the knowledge involved?
Well,
it went down with the ship.
No, there's let's just say that throughout history, the ruling bodies that rule the world only want you to know what they want you to know, so that they can keep ruling the world, so to speak. So there's a lot of like lost tablets and stuff that is omitted from certain things. So two things come to mind. There's these set of emerald tablets, which I'm not really that familiar with, but it's apparently like this stuff that was written thousands of years ago that kind of unlocks certain knowledges. That's I don't know much about it, but that's kind of related to that. So yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating, right? It could have been like an apocalypse like 30,000 years ago or whatever that, you know, destroyed a lot of it. So I don't know much about this particular, because I've just started deep diving it, but there's so much talk about this from various other people in the world. So they've got to be onto something, you know?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Okay, so I got a couple of thoughts here. It's funny you mentioned Apocalypse, because according to my research, Apocalypse was Egyptian, and he was kind of sealed up in a pyramid, as seen in the documentary X-Men.
There you go.
He went there.
I can't remember the name. I think it's Days of Apocalypse or Age of Apocalypse or something. The film. No, but in all seriousness, I'm a big fan of two shows on history: the Curse of Oak Island, which, you know, everybody's like, oh, it's a treasure hunting show. Now it's more of a show on an archaeological dig at this point. I highly doubt they're going to find any massive treasure down there, but they are finding a lot of fascinating stuff. And the other one is The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, where they have a lot of like bizarre electromagnetic and electronic interference and bizarre occurrences that they're kind of going, well, what is this, like a dimensional thing? Is this like an aliens thing? And they got some weird, I don't know how well those two things mix though. And that's kind of where some of this stuff loses me, and it gets a little like maybe they don't really mix so much and we're overthinking it, but you never know. I could be wrong. My theory may be wrong there. This could be exactly right, and we're just like, what the fuck? We haven't figured it out yet. So yeah.
So there is an excerpt here that I want to read real quick. Okay. So there's literally so much evidence to suggest it's a power plant and there's zero evidence of it being a tomb. The pyramid used a method called reverse electrolysis. We discovered this in the early 1900s, where using an oxyhydrogen cell, an anode and cathode, and an electrolyte, you can split the hydrogen and oxygen from water, resulting in oxohydrogen. There are little channels in the Queen's chamber which could separate the hydrogen from oxygen via compression. Through the Grand Galley, which is sound engineered with 8.1 hertz of frequency. This is the Earth's natural frequency and has the ability to compress hydrogen atoms. It's worth mentioning this phenomenon is actually specifically engineered by location due to the pyramid being located at the exact center of Earth's landmass. Considering the coordinates of the pyramid happen to be the same number as the speed of light, and that it faces the true north location exactly, or at least would have on the date of its construction, the only way the builders could have known that this is an accurate 2-scale map of the Karmath, knowing the exact longitudes and latitudes. So how did they know the exact longitudes and latitudes back in the day? Like, you had to have, So once the hydrogen goes into the king's chamber, the solid granite, which contains a high percentage of quartz and is a slightly radioactive, ionizes the air. And scientific research we literally discovered in the last few years shows that hydrogen is piezo catalyst on the nanoscale when compressed, meaning the mechanical stress of hydrogen in the quartz generates an immense electronic charge. The oscillation properties of the quartz in tune with the engineered frequency is what transmits the energy to a specific wavelength. Sort of how radios work, using quartz in a way that can be transmitted and potentially received from outside of the pyramid. So somebody a lot smarter than me has deep dived this stuff. So I don't know, man. I think there's some logical weight to this. So,
well, I mean, bless their research, and I hope they figure it out.
This is what I do late nights on TikTok. I go to these rabbit holes and try to. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means, but like this one for me, for some reason, has always sat in my mind. So, yeah, take it as you will. But now that we've talked about it, if you guys go on TikTok and Instagram, it's going to start littering your feed.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this did run across my feed. I believe it was in a Facebook group called I Fucking Love Science, or The Lighter Side of Science. One of the two. Might have been The Darker Side of Science, which is just some absolutely amazing humor. So yeah, it has already scrolled across my feed a couple times. I went, I don't know about that, and I had other things to do at work, so I had to get up.
Just real quick to kind of talk about Sarah's comment about the technology being wiped out. There is actually records of stuff on hieroglyphics that don't make sense. There's a lot of like, I don't have any examples at the moment, but there's a lot of like recorded hieroglyphics. Yeah, that one. Well, I know she's making a play on Wakanda, but you know, there is recorded stuff which people can interpret it the way they are, right? You know, that don't make sense with hieroglyphics of like lasers being shot into the sky and, you know, literal resistors on hieroglyphics. So yeah.
That is
all right.
Yeah, that is.
Well, that's a thing that exists.
Yeah, that's all. I need to look into that. That's a lot of info to process. And
when you start looking into it, it's gonna weigh on you a little bit differently because you're like, maybe there is something to this.
Well, because it's sort of like everything we've been taught about the pyramids is, well, according to this, is false, right? So now you have to
apparently, So I know that they've run a show of this on, it's either the History Network or Discovery Channel or whatever. I know that there's actual stuff you can watch on this exact topic. So. Yeah, interesting stuff.
I'm definitely interested for sure.
Okay, Mike, what's been on your mind, buddy?
Well, do you guys? Are you guys? Seb, you're a coffee drinker, Matt. Do you like the coffee? Are you?
I got a cup right now, my friend. There you go.
So there's this article that's come out, which I ran across this morning, called "The Coffee Apocalypse." Speaking of apocalypse, and
don't say this.
Well, because they're saying because of climate change and how the Earth is. How we're changing the Earth, the amount of land we're going to be able to utilize to grow coffee is going to shrink by half by 2050, which is going to obviously drive the price of coffee way up. And they're trying to find alternatives to coffee. And because coffee, apparently, there's a lot of deforestation involved with growing coffee, and you have to the way they dry the beans is wood fueled because it apparently doesn't work any other way. So there's it's not exactly the most sustainable and good for the planet beverage to be drinking. So they're experimenting with all sorts of stuff like chickpeas and like used barley and all this. Just it sounds gross, but they say it works. It's like being dairy free or gluten free. All these alternatives. Like,
Oat milk,
it's like cheese,
milk.
but it's not cheese. It's this.
Okay, that's bad though. Have you ever had the like non-dairy cheese? That thing tastes gross, man.
I live it, man. Like I'm
so sorry.
Like remember who we're talking to here.
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah, right. So I've been off the wagon for a while and I've been feeling like garbage for months. And I said, fuck it. The dairy and the gluten, it's all gone. So I'm a week into being completely free of it. I feel amazing. Actually, I really do.
Because we had a lunch a couple years ago, and you're just looking at the menu going, I don't know, I'll just lick the plate when everybody else is.
I'll have some egg whites and some spinach, please. That'd be amazing. But
is that the one where my smoothie went all over the table?
Yes.
Yep. Thanks, Jolene.
Because that was the first time the three of us had all really sat together, and then Mike was down with the baseball tournament. So
and that baseball's never going to happen again. She is retired as champion. So baseball, it's over. Which
not a girl, Gemma.
Gemma's for those of you that are not watching along with us, I'm going to read Gemma's comment here. I am not okay with coffee hate. I need coffee. I am too poor and too old for cocaine. Fair enough. This is interesting because the energy drink market and the there's been a real mainstream surge on teas as well. So that's all pretty interesting because there's some alternatives out there already. I'm not going to drink an energy drink. I think they're hot garbage. No,
they make my heart flutter funny, and I feel like I'm going to have a jammer. So I really got to stay away from it.
Well, I've never really been a fan. I think the closest I've had to ever having some is a couple of Jaeger bombs. Shout out to Rand Stapleton. Thanks for those, buddy. But I mean, when I got the job I had now, at one point a few months into it, I was walking past a bunch of stuff that had just come into the warehouse, and it was all ingredients to energy drinks because my kids loved them. And I'd be like, this can't be good for you. Look at this word. It can't be good for you. You can't pronounce that.
You can't pronounce it. You shouldn't be ingesting it.
And there's 3 unpronounceable words in here, and at no point does it say water.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, why do I know that word? Oh, so like where I work, I can I think all I'd need is artificial flavor and I could just brew a vat of it. So I'm like, no. And teas again are, tea has all notoriously been high in caffeine. It was something that was not widely known for a while. As far as an alternative, it was always sort of that, you're having the afternoon tea, or I'm going to have a tea before bed. And some of them are, decaffeinated like coffee can be, but there's a lot of alternatives out there. I think we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I think
so there's a whole bunch of these like startup companies that are making coffee.
Lab grown coffee.
Well, not really. There's one called Northern Wonder based out of the Netherlands. They make their quote unquote coffee out of lupin beans, along with chickpeas and chicory. And there's one in Seattle. They use date seeds in a proprietary marinade. This is all it's saying. It's all complicated stuff. But they use that out of date seeds. But the date seeds date back like thousands of years. Like in the Middle East, that's how they had their caffeinated beverages. The Mayans used the seeds of ramon trees in the rainforest back,
Also pyramids in the Mayan culture, but I'm just saying.
Yes. Oh my God. And I'm going to mail you some tinfoil.
Sam's last show.
Yeah.
So to be fair though, coffee is predominantly a North American thing.
Yeah.
So I think more people drink coffee in North America, but
the problem is now it's catching on in Asia. And
the coffee? Oh
yes,
God.
Coffee's catching on. So the demand of coffee is starting to rise really high.
Yeah.
Which, if we're going to lose half of the crops, oh God, we're all going to be too poor to be drinking coffee at some point.
Well, I mean, let maybe the price of cocaine will come down.
Maybe, right?
I have a question.
More of it'll be more available to grow, and then we'll be good. Yeah.
I have I have a coffee question for you guys.
Sure.
Okay.
Have you ever had Kopi Luwak? It's
No.
also known as civet coffee.
No.
It's arguably the most expensive coffee in the world. And let me read.
So Starbucks sells it.
Yeah. So
Well, let me read-
It's their Pike Place blended.
Let me just
$5.
read how it's harvested
Okay.
and just get your opinion if you would actually try it.
Uh-oh.
Civet
Oh, this is gonna
coffee.
be-
Oh, this is the one that gets pooped out?
Yes,
Yes.
Oh.
I have heard of it.
it's a
I
coffee
Okay,
that.
for those
Yeah.
that haven't,
Yeah.
okay, so have I. So for those,
Yeah.
there it is. Even Sarah knows.
Like a certain animal eats it,
The-
and then
It's not a cat. It's kind of like a cat.
No,
it's
it-
a civet.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's just Seb, go ahead and read off the
so-
off the description for us.
The coffee is a coffee that consists of partially digested coffee cherries, which have been eaten and defecated by the Asian palm civet. The cherries are fermented as they pass through the civet's intestines. So I don't know what happened to my voice there. Intestines, and after being defecated with other fecal matter, they are collected. Asian palm civets are increasingly caught in the wild and traded for this purpose. So it's known as the retail market can reach about $100 US per kilogram.
Whoa.
And then in the US, there's also it can all go up to $1,300 per kilogram for wild collected beans as well. So
yeah.
I'd try it for sure,
I think
Well,
I'd
you know-
try it. Like, it's not like
Nice.
you're going to be tasting poo. It's going to.
dude. I bet you it's really good.
Bet you it is. Natural
bet you it's-
I
fermentation.
feel like part of
Yeah.
the price is you got to pay somebody a lot better to harvest that as opposed to.
Well, you're
regular
basically
coffee
paying
beans.
someone to shift through shit to get
Yeah.
beans.
Well, it's kind of
So-
like the truffle hunters, right? It's the same idea. Like, they're out
Yeah.
there. It's really hard to find. That's why it's so expensive. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd be in. Matt, buy us a kilogram of coffee, and me and Seb will brew it up.
Well,
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
this
order
is
it
the
on
perfect weekend
Amazon.
to ask me for that.
I know, I'm
we
sorry.
won't share why, but
I'm sorry.
we had a talk in the pre-show.
Yeah,
Perfect weekend to ask me to spend some money.
absolutely.
You
You
can
know what?
order it on
it-
Amazon, but I don't know how like if it's 100% or not. So
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you guys this. So let's say coffee gets ridiculous.
Mhm.
How hard would it be to give it up? As
Not-
Matt has a mug in his hand.
It honestly, there were many years where I was bad. I was measuring it by the gallon. I've had to kick it a couple of times. It was always I had something I could trade the person that was giving me the coffee,
Mm.
and so it was free coffee. I would just go get it. It was movie passes. It was free CDs from the record store or something like that, and be like, cool. I just take my cup in, and they just fill it for me, and I'm awesome. And I just, especially when the kids were younger too, because I was sleeping in like 2 to 3 hour shifts 4 or 5 times a day. I napped. I didn't sleep. I
Yeah.
napped for 2 straight years.
Sure.
So I was real bad, and I've had to give it up a couple of times, to the point in the last 10 years, it's a cup in the morning. If I'm having a real bad day, maybe another half a cup. The stuff we have at my current job is what I call high octane, and it is not tasty. The way the machine is set up, it uses warm water, and we can't do
Oh.
anything about it, which just
That's
ruins
terrible.
the coffee. I got a stern lecture from a friend of my parents that used to be in
the coffee business.
military intelligence on how they would deal with people that made bad coffee, and he made me go and pour it out and make it properly for him, and it was like, okay, that's much better. Don't ever fucking use warm water again. And he was a nice guy, and he just turned a switch, and I'm like, oh, I have angered this man. Yeah, it wouldn't be hard for me to give it up. It wouldn't.
think
I'd be
more-
okay.
I think more so it's habit and comfort.
Mhm.
So if you could shift yourself to something else like
Yeah.
yerba mate or teas or that
Sure.
offer caffeine as well, I think people would do it. It just takes a little bit of adjustment,
Mhm.
right? So a lot of people have switched from coffee to tea, and some teas have more caffeine content than coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on how long you steep
But
it.
it's also
right?
for me,
So-
it's easier to digest. Like, I can't drink
Yeah.
coffee in the afternoon anymore. I'll have a cup of tea, or I'll do the old person thing and have a cup of hot water. Yeah, that's right, hot water.
Do you put some lemon in there, Mike?
Okay, so
No, straight up, maybe it's awful, but it does the trick.
I like what you just said because I work outside. I mean, I'm mostly undercover, but I do work outside, and it gets cold. out there.
Yep.
And
shirtless.
so the natural
And
thing
by
is, I'm gonna
undercover,
warm up,
he
I'm
wears
gonna
a
go
hoodie
get
with
cup of
glasses.
coffee. But what I started doing, because I realized I would fall down that slippery slope, and so I've had like 17 coffees today. I'm back drinking it by the gallons. Is what I do is I'd go and I rinse my coffee cup out, and I still do this. I did this yesterday at work. I go on my lunch break, I rinse my cup out, I fill it with hot water, I add a little bit of Mio for flavor, and I've been doing that for 3 years.
Nice.
Oh, Mios are
I
great.
don't drink. Unlike Mike, I'm not drinking straight hot water, but I've added the flavor to it, and it warms me up, and I can get away with that.
I drink the hot water.
Hold on, I gotta
So
get my
I'm glad
prune
you said
juice. I'll
that,
be
Mike.
right
So
back.
it's not
Right.
just me. People have looked like, "What are you drinking?" I'm like, Mio and hot water. It's like, what do you? Like I'd sprouted a third head out of my
Don't knock
forehead.
it till you try it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Right.
I just need to be warm. I mean,
That's it.
I've left work a couple of times and had to pick up my daughter at her work. She works at a pub, and I sat down. We're well known there. I used to work there myself, and so the old school staff were like, "Oh, you want a shock top? You want a Bud Light? What are you drinking?" I'm like, "Hot water and lemon, please. I'm fucking cold." And the first time I said that, you could hear a needle come off the record. Like 2 waitresses and the bartender, are like, "You want a what?" I'm like, yeah, no, like so. I just want to warm up, man. Like, so thank you, Mike, for making me feel like I'm not alone.
You're not alone. Absolutely not, buddy. Like you just, yeah.
It's very common, actually. A lot of people ask for hot water.
Yeah.
Usually the older generation that come
Well,
into
and
the
it helps.
bar
Like I've got some digestive issues.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I got to really watch what I eat, and the hot water just, I don't know, especially after dinner, it really helps me.
Mhm.
And
Plus, you increase your water intake by it too, right?
Yes.
Which is required in life.
it's,
I-
well, you need water to
I
live.
probably should pay more attention to what I eat. I was doing really well before the cruise. I got to get back on my fitness regime and stuff like that, so I can, not have to try and not look like a beached whale by the time I get there. But
You won't.
it's we got some lifestyle stuff coming up anyways, so I'm gonna try and get that done. We are getting to be the older generation. Yeah.
Let me tell you how I felt this morning getting out of bed. I definitely hit the older generation.
Oh man, I got up and I was like the old man from Up. I had to put heat on my back. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with me? And then I loosened
You
up.
kind of look like him.
And
actually.
you can see it. You can kind of see it
whatever.
right in here.
There's the gray streak.
This is not the sunshine. This is my gray streak. It has been there for many years, and it goes straight up the center of my head, just off to the just above my right eye. I've always wanted to look like a superhero. I didn't think it would be Rogue.
Or Cruella DeVille.
Ouch.
Ouch.
But you know what? I'm a dog lover. I don't want to do that whole thing. We're just gonna cover up my 6 head.
As he puts on a hat that almost looks like he's wearing 100 Dalmatians on it.
I know. Yeah.
This is my hat from
Dalmatian. That's actually Dalmatian skin.
Yeah.
You asshole.
Look, there's 101 skull and crossbones on that hat.
Made out of all.
Yeah, this is the world's ugliest hat. It is from
It is.
Pirate Bay. No, not Pirate Bay. It's a brewery. It's right on the main drag in Nassau, next to the cruise port. Pirate Republic Brewery in Nassau, the Bahamas. I managed to get there twice. I absolutely love this brewery. It just happens to be a block from where you walk off the cruise ship. So I've always managed to get in and grab a beer and some merch there. And I saw this. I'm like, that is too ugly to leave behind. So I took it home. And suddenly, and saying that, I feel like I'm back in the bar in my 20s.
There you
Anywho,
you wanted to talk about some band stuff.
I did. I wanted to bring this up. So it's something I wanted to talk about last week because some big news dropped about a major band. And I was listening to Mandatory Music, your last episode on Master of Puppet.
Appreciate it.
And you guys pointed out again that, Metallica is in their 70s.
60s.
So, well, they're creeping on their 70s. Yeah.
Well, you think Iron Maiden's creeping on their 70s? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But Metallica, no, they're 60.
So,
anyways,
neither one of these bands are involved. However, Kiss sold their catalog and their rights.
Good.
They're done. So let me read some of the key facts here. And this is according to Forbes magazine from April 4th. It was updated. Pop House has said the acquisition includes the band's artist share of the master recordings and the public rights to their songs. Financial terms of the deal were not disclosed. There have been reports where it's upwards of $300 million.
That's it? I thought it'd be
Not
more.
the worst paycheck to get. Pop House said it will work closely with the band to make digital avatars of the band, which the group revealed on the last day of its farewell tour.
I love
NFTs.
Saying it will allow the band and their unique personas to live forever. Now, Pop House is a company formed by I believe he's a Swiss billionaire and one of the guys from ABBA.
Okay, another
they
billionaire.
have been tinkering around with this. They have rights to, and I can't remember the other band. For they've inked deals with Avicii, Swedish House Mafia, Cyndi Lauper as well. So here's the thing. So they're aiming for 2027 to start releasing. Yeah. Pop House said the first shows using digital avatars are set to launch in 2027. This is
AI,
interesting,
baby.
We've seen in the last few years holograms being developed. Michael Jackson and Tupac have had stuff done. Ronnie Jane's Dio's wife has said that she is working on something for Ronnie to be able to do shows as a hologram now since he passed away. And this avatar deal. So this looks to be an interesting jumping off point for the way music is going to go. You're going to get to a point where, I mean, let's face it, touring fucking has to suck in your 70s. Especially if you're not a big band like Maiden who can own their own 747 or Metallica, and you know,
can dictate their own schedule basically.
Big bands like that. I mean, and let's not, like, we talk metal a lot, but I mean, Pearl Jam's in that category as well.
They're old,
right? I mean, we could see, you know, I don't know who owns the rights to it anymore because I know Michael Jackson did at one point. We could see a Beatles show if the rights come up.
I think it went back.
What do you guys think on this whole? Go ahead, Mike.
Well, in terms of Kiss, I've never had any interest in seeing them as humans, let alone digital avatars. But if we take a step back, selling your catalog has become increasingly popular. Like it's almost not the norm, but all these legacy acts, a lot of do. Like I think. Well, there's tons. I don't have anything in front of me, but there's been tons that have sold their stuff over the last couple of years. And well, why not? If you're 70, whatever, you're not going to do much anymore. Why hold on to it? Just take the big cash payout and ride off into the sunset. But in terms of the avatar thing, I don't even if Metallica does it, which they won't, they won't do it. But
they don't seem like the type to sell their catalog, honestly.
Well, they own it. They own their catalog.
Yeah, I know, but
right?
Yeah.
They've worked so hard to own it. They're not going to get rid of it, but a lot of older people do. And I don't know. I think it's fine. Like Cyndi Lauper, for instance, she's not going to come out and do much anymore. So take the payday. It's easy money, right?
I believe Springsteen has sold his rights. I know the Beatles,
he's still active too, right?
He's still active,
right? So
he's still able to do shows.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan sold his rights a few years ago as well. That was a big payday for him.
Oh yes.
Bob also still doing the occasional show here and there. He
still puts out music.
So let's take Kiss out of the equation,
please.
Kiss and ABBA seem to be the guinea pigs, the beta test on this whole version of it.
Yeah.
I could see holograms being a little more difficult when you're dealing with a band, especially if you want to see able to move them around the stage a little bit, but I could be wrong. I mean, strap it to a Roomba or a toy car. But what I'm saying is in 15 years, we're all, just entering our 50s. Sarah, don't do the math because I know you're going to do it.
She's got the calculator out.
We'll be 61 in 15 years.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, I was talking. Welcome. Yeah,
thanks, Mike.
Perfect. But at 61 years old, let's say we have 2 members of Metallica left. Would you go see the Avatar show?
Nope.
No.
No, I'll
say
tell you
that
right
now, but it
No,
might be
I
a
won't,
different story
because
in 15 years.
I think this coming August, this is it. I'm done. I skipped last time they came. I'm out. I'm going with my son. I'm going with Seb, and that's it. I'm done.
Unless they have another album.
No, I don't think I'll go.
And then there's
I don't
another
wanna
song
see
like
them.
in a Murata on the next album. Mike, like, I gotta go sing them.
No, I don't think I don't want to see them when they're in their mid to late 60s. I think this is it. This is as old as it gets for me. 60s enough.
Okay, so Gemma wants to chime in here. She's she knows she's gonna sound like an old person and a music snob, but I just don't get the Avatar hologram thing. Might as well just listen to the album if the band aren't there performing. Performance takes heart.
Yep.
That is a good point.
So I have a comment here. So Matt, you have touched on a very polarizing topic in today's society with the birth of AI and AI generated images. It is a very controversial topic, and a lot of people don't know which way to sit on it. So there's a podcast that I listen to, a writing podcast, and they have been in conversation every day on that podcast for like the last year about AI ruling on authors using AI to generate portions of their story. So are they allowed to sell that as their own or not? So there's like all sorts of licensing things, and it goes even deeper about actors being, after they pass or if they retire for actors, studios using AI to generate stuff in movies with that related actor. So it's such a fascinating and scary way to go in the next few years, because we don't know where AI or holograms, avatars are going. So you ask this question to us like 20 years ago, we'd be like, yeah, it's the holodeck. That would be awesome. Right. But now that it's real, it's a very scary way to wage in. Right. So,
but you know who should use AI to finish books?
George R. Martin.
George Martin.
Dude,
just use it, man.
Just do it, man. Let's just get ChatGPT in there and say, hey,
so there's a positive and a negative.
Right? I got this idea. Plunk the idea in, and then ChatGPT in 10 minutes.
It's funny, Mike, because you're right. Because at this point, people are like, I just don't fucking care anymore. Right? Just give us a goddamn book. Just use AI to finish it. Yeah, it's been over 10 years, man.
Doesn't matter.
You know what? I heard he tried, and when AI digested the amount of detail and everything in the stories, it blew up the server, and they had to start all over again.
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's a point that's been going around for a few weeks now, made by Gemma. You see this meme on the social media. AI is going in the wrong direction. We should be using it to do work and do menial tasks so we can do more art. That I agree with.
It's funny because it's funny because when I was I'm not playing D&D at the moment, but when I was playing D&D, we used a lot of AI generation in our campaigns. So we would literally type in our character descriptions, and it would AI generate an image for a character, and then it would give us options of like 10 or 12 of them, and we're like, oh, I like this one. This is what my character looks like. So you just click it and attach it to, because we use D&D Beyond, which is a D&D website where your character's online in like your character sheet, and you can attach images to your character. So there is functionality to it in a good way, but you have to understand that some people are going to use it to completely fast track writing a book, for example, and have a book out in a matter of weeks, and just kind of skim through the AI generated story and change little parts of it to make it make more sense. So yeah, it's,
I think you could just give Stephen King a kilo of Coke and he'll crank out 6 for you real quick.
You should just AI generate the endings, because I'm sure the AI generated endings would be way better than what he is.
Yes.
But my new phone has an AI generator attached to it, right? So there's a fantastic feature in my new phone where if you're looking at an image, you can hold a button and draw a circle around parts of the image, and it will like bring out stuff. Like it will AI think about what that image you circled and bring like pop up things like images and YouTube videos related to that image.
Oh my God.
So
this definitely explains your list of bustyasianbeauties.com.
You better lock that thing in a safe every night so it doesn't come out and kill you in the middle of the night.
I think it's interesting because the discussion about actors has been going on for a while now. You can look at a movie like Beowulf that they did the CGI, where everybody except the main character looked like the actor they were portraying. So there's a digital Hopkins, a digital Angelina Jolie. But then you look at the work they have done in Star Wars to de-age certain characters, so that we are looking at a young Harrison Ford. We're looking at a young Mark Hamill, a young Princess Leia, or they're overlaying it so that they can finish a movie due to somebody having passed away. So that exists. So let me take the touring portion out of this. Let's say, going back to the music thing, the Avatar shows. Ooh. Let's say you're down in Vegas and it's an Avatar based show and one of your favorite bands are there. Say you can go and see the Beatles for 2 hours do their song on that Avatar based show, rather than going to get a ticket for a concert that tours. If you happen to be there and it was like going to any other show, like a Celine Dion or whatever in Vegas, would that make a difference?
I could see it working in the Sphere, because you can integrate so much Avatar images in that giant. I've never been there personally. I've just watched videos, but that is ripe for something to do with AI. I swear to God.
Well, then I don't think you couldn't call it a concert. I think you'd have to call it a concert,
a musical experience.
Because it's
that's what you would call it. A musical experience.
It's a movie.
Yeah,
and it would be fun, I guess, at the Sphere. But I'd rather go see a tribute act, really, than to see some computer generated. Yeah. It's like when we went to the planetarium back in the day, watched the laser shows. It's kind of the same idea. Those were kind of stupid.
Yep. Okay, so here's another thought to expand on that. Let's take Vegas out of this. I wish I had gotten to the Sphere. I didn't have time when I was there. We're going back. So we missed a bunch of stuff, and we got friends. And
I'm out.
It's let's say you are in the UK, and you can go to the Cavern Club and watch the Beatles perform as avatars.
That'd be neat.
Or you could go to the Whiskey and see Lemmy, see Motorhead, see somebody that's gone through the Whiskey.
I'll give you another example, Mike. Let's say you bring in Ozzy Osbourne, avatar generated from him in like the 90s, and you had like a concert, but instead of Zakk Wylde, it would be Randy Rhoads that they avatared out, somebody that passed,
also or an interesting point.
Or a Kurt Cobain, as we talked about last week, have him with an AI generation of a new song maybe, or a concert to this day. So you can revisit people that have passed too soon and have them kind of, do their thing. So it's, I don't know where I feel in this, it's scary because I guess in a way, does it take, let me ask you guys this, does it take away a little bit from the uniqueness of being human?
Absolutely.
If things are CGI'd and AI'd to the point where it's almost like another human. So, and they even have AI relationship bots now. So you can have like an AI girlfriend.
Perfect.
Like there's what's the app that's called? It's like Replicate or Replica or something like that. You guys talk, I'll find it.
There's been a couple of movies. Sarah doesn't see the appeal of these things. Let the past be the past in the past. And she spelt that very specifically. I don't know. I think some of these shows might be interesting, like a Cirque du Soleil thing. I don't see a tour being
not a tour
a good idea, except for maybe we're going to come to your city like a traveling Broadway show. We're going to do a week here and then we're going to move on, and then this show is going to live in this city from now on. I think Seb had a good idea with the Sphere. I think we're going to see more buildings like that pop up. I don't know. It's interesting because this is going to preserve some nostalgia for us.
Or just put it into a movie theater and then.
Yeah, that's another option.
I'd rather see it in a movie theater than a concert venue, personally.
Yeah. So I think the concert venue might be a little
because
far off.
there's nothing there. You're just watching a screen. So why would I watch it in a high quality environment as opposed to being in an arena or whatever club or whatever where they just have a stupid screen that's put up and then or lasers beamed onto the floor and hey, look at there's Ronnie. Hey, cool. I don't know. I'd rather just see it in a movie format. I think that's just what
I don't see how it would appeal to like a stadium size show or even an arena size show. I would think something like a club to a medium sized venue would be more ideal.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting because I think if I were to be out somewhere traveling and go, oh, there's an Avatar show of like I go down to Seattle a fair bit lately. It's like, oh, I can go down to this and it's it's grunge, so I can go in there and I can see Alice in Chains and Stone Temple Pilots and Nirvana do an Avatar show for a couple of hours. That might be like a touristy thing.
I don't know.
I'm having a hard time. I think it'll also depend on fucking loved you. I think it would also depend on the band.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch the Muppets perform a band set than AI. Give it absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the Muppets. Gemma, I love you so much. Thank you for that.
The Muppets are a dated AI. But yeah, so what I'm talking about is Replica. So there's an actual app where you create an AI persona that chats with you. Like literally it's an AI person that you can ask questions and it answers and whatnot. It's already there. It's already here. So, it's an app on your phone, I guess, or web. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like we're going into the Skynet situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to paraphrase the show Archer, do you want Skynet? Because this is how you get Skynet.
Yeah. No, we do not.
Yeah, I'm kind of anti-Skynet. I'm anti-Matrix. Just as much as I'd like my consciousness to continue existing in perpetuity, I don't like those options.
Hear me out. What if AI created the pyramids? I'm just saying. It's just
okay. Now it's.
I like how you circled it back, but wow.
Well, there is a rumor that I don't know if you ever heard of the Anunnaki, but there's a race of beings that visited Earth, and that's the reason that human evolution skyrocketed is because they started mixing DNAs. So in a sense, it's kind of
look at the time.
It is. We are a little over an hour. It's funny that you say the word Anunnaki because I'm trying to learn a new song to try and karaoke, and that is a word in the song. And I actually had to look that up. So I'm like, okay, that's a little bizarre to throw in a song, but okay. I think we're a little over an hour. I think we can all get on with our day. It's a lovely BC day down here in Vancouver.
I got my
area.
fans on. It's awesome.
The sun is shining. The grass is riz. My grass is riz too much. I got to get out there and start trimming it down.
You're too old to use that word. That's a young person's word, Matt.
What word did he use?
The word riz.
Riz.
See, Mike doesn't even know what that means.
What does that mean?
I don't even know what it means. I'm
it's short for charisma.
Oh my god!
When someone has riz, they have charisma.
That is not.
That's sus, as the kids.
That's literally what it is.
I got one last thing.
Go.
So the executor of O.J. Simpson's estate is working to prevent a $33.5 million payout to Nicole Brown, that wrongful death suit from the 97. He says he's going to fight everything to not pay the Goldman and Simpson and the Brown families, and he says he hopes the Goldmans get absolutely nothing. Jeez. Well, you know what?
Go fuck himself.
Fuck that guy and fuck O.J. Simpson. How's that?
So another football legend, and after about Naked Gun 2, he was just a complete waste of humanity, and correct. He is standing in front of a judge right now that he cannot lie his ass off to.
So there's a sad. Remember when Felicia Rashad and Ahmad Rashad we were too young. Well, they got married.
Yep.
She was the mom on the Cosby Show. So Bill Cosby walked her down the aisle.
Oh God.
And OJ was Ahmad's best man. Oof. I think all those pictures have probably been burned. Poor Rashad family. because we all love them, Aldershot and Felicia. They're amazing people, but
yeah, I mean,
he's probably looking at him like, man, I'm a terrible judge of character.
sometimes your friends surprise you in all the wrong ways.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
And
do not rest in peace, OJ. I think that's the end quote for the day.
Oh yeah, he's
burning in hell with Satan from South Park doing all the nasty things that Satan likes to do to everybody.
You know what? That's fair.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah. And Satan would be at OJ. He'd like wink at him and goes, "The glove did fit."
Oh, it fit. Oh, it fit.
You know what?
He's like, eh.
How much you guys want to bet a new episode of South Park's going to drop whenever
Next
they
week.
get to their new season, and that's going to be a thing?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're probably going to have to wait a little while. I don't know how long it takes to produce an episode of South Park, but I don't think the turnaround is 3 days.
No, it might be a week, but it's not very long.
It's literally 6 days. Like
is it 6? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, like they start working on it on Monday, and then I think they brainstorm for like Monday, Tuesday, and then write it on Wednesday and film it like Thursday, Friday.
And they just cut and paste all the art they've had for 30 years, and
it's simple art, right?
Right.
So,
it's anyways.
Yeah. All right.
Look at us.
Yeah, we did a thing. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We got to. I still got a bunch of stuff to discuss, so we're gonna have to come back next week and pick up our topic list. I know you boys have lists of stuff to get to in this shorter topic format, which I'm enjoying.
Well, I like.
I will give you a weekly conspiracy theory.
Oh, I'm making a tinfoil hat to be on next week. That's 100%.
Yeah,
that'll be on.
So
oh yeah.
None of us really like showing anything above our eyebrows, so I think Mike and I are.
Well, I got like my forehead. It just keeps on going and going, and it's too shiny at this point.
Oh, your forehead goes all the way down to your butt crack.
It sure does.
And that's where the hair starts.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I know.
Just there is no hair. Just so you know.
Thank you for joining us. Remember to keep an eye out for mandatory music. That will drop Monday, guys.
It'll drop probably tomorrow at some point. I'm learning how to
edit.
Oh my god, I am. Yeah, the Hatchet Man came out. Yeah, the Hatchet Man was out last night. Let me tell you.
We do this live to tape, but Mike is making his a little more radio friendly. I am trying to replace my favorite word that I use as a comma with actual commas. I'm not fully succeeding, but we will get there. Little Birdie told me it's a song off the self-titled album, aka the Black Album, this week.
Track number 2.
Correct.
Yeah.
Track number 2. Well,
so go look that up.
I keep the surprise, and for the fans that want to not be surprised about it, too bad. It's sad. But true. You're going to have to wait.
Yes.
And check me out. I'm going live tomorrow. We're going to talk WrestleMania with a couple of folks that had boots on the ground and maybe a third. I'm just waiting to find out if he's going to actually make it or not. But so check us out. Remember to like, subscribe, and rate all of our stuff. You can find us on Apple. You can find us Spotify, YouTube. Right here. Yeah. Give us the 5 stars. We're trying to build these things. Share with your friends. Please, dear Lord, share with your friends. Help us grow. And until then, I got to go stop my grass from growing. Good afternoon.
Bye.